On arrival at Gasper Cottage, through the gates, you are greeted by the facade of the cottage, which is a lovely cottage. And is that why this is a romantic space? I think obviously it's part of it. It's a thatched cottage. I've got roses over a doorway, you know, talk about cliches. But I think there must be more to it than that, because people never used to describe this space as romantic. And, you know, this is what it used to look like back in the day. And it was a very nice cottage, but no one used the word romantic. So it must be the planting. So let's look more at that. What do we mean by romantic? And how is it romantic? Why is it romantic? So I'm going to try and analyse the various elements in this garden and talk about how they are deemed to be romantic and how you can make any space feel more romantic. So on arrival, you're coming down the steps to this area of the terracing, which is an old stone slab. So I got these from the reclamation yard, and they're all different sizes, and I had lots of fun trying to arrange them into a kind of coherent path, but also the space, and use the different sizes and shapes. But they are all a bit wobbly, they're all a bit different, and we left these little spaces, little awkward bits where the stones didn't join up. And I think what that gives in romance is this sense of age. And I mean, these slabs were laid in 2020, I think, maybe 2019. So this is not an old garden, but this gives you that immediate sense of age, or the colonisation. All these little plants, particularly this Erigeron, that is definitely a key plant in this space, as is the Alchemilla Mollis, which sort of self-seeds around in every little gap. So starting with the front door, you've got the rose over the door, which is basically over, but there's another rose on the wall. And I've got these two towers here which have honeysuckle on them. The magic there, of course, is that they're a very pretty colour, very pretty plant, but they're also a delicious scent, which sadly you can't get in the video, but believe me, it perfumes this area. A key element in romance has to be the colours that I've chosen to use through here, which is mainly in these pastel pinks, blues, mauves, just with the odd touch of a kind of delicate yellow. So there are these very nice Digitalis lutea. It's a little tiny baby foxglove. Look at the size of those. They're just little tiny bells, but beautiful. But also, at the moment, a key plant are these little pin cushions. So this is a form of Nautia, and this one is called Melton Pastels, and it comes in this range of colours. So you've got the kind of a bright pink, and then a more faded pink, and then you've got this sort of mauve colour, and then there's a very faded pink as well. And they are both tall, airy plants. They're right by the path, and as you're walking, you know, if I hold the camera basically level with my head, these plants are right here. And, you know, the bees love them, which is also, everyone loves the sound of a bee. It's worth just looking down as I'm walking, because the steps are just laid as stepping stones. They're not concreted in, they're just put on the ground. Builders couldn't understand it at all. They said, there's gaps, the weeds will grow. And I was like, yes, exactly, the weeds will grow. But what it means when you're walking along is you actually sort of have to stop and look where you're putting your feet and go quite slowly. You can't just kind of march through here. So taking your time, I think, is a key part of the romantic feel of this area. You have to slow down and absorb it and enjoy it. And when I was choosing the planting here, one of the things that I have given quite careful thought to is not just the colour of the plant and how it's going to go with the plant next to it, but how it's going to look against its backdrop. So these very statuesque delphiniums are seen as this pale spire against the beech hedge behind. Another plant where the backdrop was carefully considered. So these dark delphiniums are positioned in front of the limewash wall, because when you see them against the yew, I mean, they're still visible, but a lot less. But the Ammi Majus next to them suddenly spring into life. Whereas when you see the Ammi against the white wall, it's sort of a bit invisible, really. The way that most visitors, however, come to the front garden is from the sides. So they come in either this way, from the birch grove, or from the lawn. And some of it is an element of surprise. So you're coming along, it's all very lush and green in here. You come around, you see all this sunshine, you think, oh, brightness. Where are we going? And when you come round this corner, this time of day, you know, the garden is kind of backlit and really looking truly spectacular as you walk along. So right now, in mid-June, I think a lot of the romance is coming from the Nautia and from the delphiniums at the higher levels, obviously the rose and the Ammi Majus. I think they're the plants that are up by your face. And down by your feet, you've got some of the Nepeta, you've got lots of Alchemilla Mollis, which, whether it's in flower or even just a group of leaves, is heavenly. You've got this little tiny Persicaria, then you've got the Anchusa, I think it is. This is a whole clump of the marjoram and oregano, so that will come into flower in the next month. More Alchemilla, and then the Erigeron coming in the hotter, drier areas. So the key elements in the garden for the romantic feel, we think, are the sense of inclusion and privacy in this area, the lush planting, that sense of age, which, you know, you get by using natural materials, packing the plants in, leaving the gaps, don't put too much concrete in, there is very little concrete in here. And scent, colour, airy plants, transparent plants, and more than anything, lots of plants. Have more plants.